All right, welcome back to the channel. Good news, Terence Crawford might be getting what he wants, as reports say that he and Canelo Alvarez could be on and popping next. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, Terence Bud Crawford, #1 pound for pound fighter in the world, is out there looking for greatness, either greatness in his bank account and or greatness in the ring. And apparently, these guys have come close to terms. Do not know what network or what the terms are. We do know, though, who probably is going to be trying to spend the money to get the fight. And that is Turkey Al-Sheikh, who I'm sure is still running around spending wasting other people's money. It kills me how people call him His Excellency when he's the middle manager in this guy and over the disbursement of funds that I guess have no other purpose other than to lose money for Saudi Arabia. But I've heard some astronomical numbers, like he wants to pay $450 million for the Canelo Alvarez Terence Crawford fight. That's the 350. That's got to be the 300 million for Terence, 150 million for, let me get this right. If it's 450 million, and I'll talk about that more in a second, 450 million, that's 300 for Canelo and $150 million for Terence Crawford. That is what you call a great night's work if you can get it. There's a couple ways to look at it, though. One is from Terence Crawford, a few ways, not a couple. One way is looking at it from just a fan's point of view. I like it. Absolutely. Pay if somebody wants to lose that much money or more on that fight, hey, I'll watch it. If you're willing to lose that much money, you might as well give it away for pay-per-view. Might as well give the pay-per-view away because you're not covering no $450 million in cost off your pay-per-view. So if you're willing to lose it, shoot, just go ahead and lose it, man. What are you going to lose another? Yeah, you'll lose $100 million because I think that's probably $150 million fight. If they sold it in the United States. But if they put it over there in Saudi Arabia in the middle of the afternoon, that fight's not going to do nearly as well in America as you would think it would be. And I don't think the Turkey Al-Sheikh is going to come back to the United States. Maybe he'll do it in Mexico. I just have that feeling that he may not. I could be wrong, but I don't think that he's going to come back to the United States. But whatever the case is, from Terence Crawford's standpoint, love it. From a fan point of view, love it. It's also a highly competitive fight. Terence going all the way up to 168, or maybe, it'd be like 168, because I think Canelo was very clear that he wasn't going to fight anybody to catch weight of 164. The lightest he's going is 168. So if Terence has to go all the way up to 168, I'm going to have to go ahead and say, give me Canelo Alvarez in that fight. Because, that's where Terence Crawford is. Canelo Alvarez is used to the weight. And I'm going to tell you, man, the style matchup for Terence Crawford, I do think he can win the fight. And, I think that there's a good chance he could shock the world by winning that fight. If his legs are fresh. If his legs are not fresh, I think that's going to be a lot of trouble on him. But his legs, he's got to have the legs and the movement that he had, when he was 26, 27 to deal with Canelo. Canelo is somebody that is very underrated hand speed. His foot speed is not the best, but his hand speed and his timing and his power is next level. And his familiarity with the big moments, I don't think can be equaled by any boxer that's active right now, other than maybe if Manny Pacquiao said he was coming out of retirement. But the amount of big fights that Canelo Alvarez has been in compared to what Terence Crawford has been in, you got to take that in consideration when you're looking at the fight. So, man, right, you have the aggression and you just have the aggression of Canelo Alvarez against the impeccable timing and versatility of Terence Crawford. You can't miss with that fight. So from a fan perspective, man, I love it. If I'm Canelo Alvarez and somebody's paying me $300 million for that, problem solved. It's worth it. $300 million, you don't sneeze at $300 million if they're really going to pay it. Terence Crawford, obviously $150 million. He's not going to turn that down, nor should he turn that down. Now, from a boxing standpoint, like just was good for the sport of boxing, and looking at that, what I mean by like is what is good for the people who are like other fighters and getting big fights made. I think that moves like this are ultimately going to backfire on the sport, because there's a finite amount of people that are going to be willing to pay that type of money just off the top. You know what I mean? And these are guys, these are fights where you could easily see down the road that there could be bigger fights than this. Like Canelo and Terence Crawford is a really big fight. Canelo and Terence is a really big fight, but it's not Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, right? It's not Floyd Mayweather Jr., Oscar De La Hoya. It's not that level of fight, I do not believe. I believe that it'll do 1 million pay-per-views. I don't know whether it's going to outdo Gervonta Davis versus Ryan Garcia. I think it may be somewhere in that range. So that if they're paying that type of money, that's going to be a losing effort. I mean, a losing bid. So are you going to continue to have angel investors that are willing to just lose money, unless they are unless they're very closely connected to gambling and the money that's made and the profit that's made off the gambling related to fights? I just see people not going through that. Not normal people anyway. Maybe there's some super rich guy, that just loves the sport of boxing and is willing to, give out or hand out whatever amount of money that's there and be able to do it for years, and then have a family that's going to continue to do it too. Because what happens if that one guy passes away or he loses interest, right? Then boom, the whole sport is in a hole. And we've seen the sport go in holes before. Like, for example, after Ali retired, essentially in 78, but he came back in 80. Man, there was a big dip, and there was a dip till Mike Tyson came by. Those middleweights, even though they were great middleweights, welterweight tournaments with guys like Roberto Duran and Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns, shout out to Tommy Hearns, obviously, marvelous Marvin Hagler. A lot of that early 1980 stuff was dominated by the welterweights. But there was a dip in the interest of boxing. There's definitely a dip after Floyd Mayweather Jr. retired as well. So you don't want to have a dip first of all, you don't want to have a big fights getting made where they're looking for so much money that it's impossible to make any money on the event itself. That's just dangerous. And that's what I think Turki Al-Sheikh really brings to the sport. A lot of danger, some decent fights, as in some good fight cards where it's like, okay, you recognize every name on the card, a few good fights, right? A few good fights. But at the end of the day, reckless spending of money, I just don't think that that's good. I don't think that sets a good precedent moving forward. It definitely keeps a lot of players out of the game, which is not all in all a bad thing. But, I prefer, and I think the healthiest way for boxing to operate is it's like a bipolar situation where you have two poles. You have, the one that like Bob Arum and Don King had some years ago, right? Where these guys were clearly working together. One of them dominated upper heavyweight weight classes and, be above middleweight. And the other one, Bob Arum, controlled the lower weight classes. And they worked together, put on really good fights together. I don't know how you're going to be able to do that with somebody that wants to pay $500 million for fights to take place in Saudi Arabia. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.